Hi, I'm Debbie Barnett, and before watching tonight's episode, please watch this short video on the new American Mahjong Rules app. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to Mahjpedia, proudly presented by MahjCon, the pioneering app that provides comprehensive information on American Mahjong rules, strategies, fun facts and much more. Sign up for a 3-day free trial so you can explore the app. Download the app from the Google Play or App Store. Or pause the video and scan the QR code to take you directly to the app. Watch the entire How to Use Mahjpedia video to learn more. With Mahjpedia by your side, you'll never have to worry again about a disagreement around the Mahjong table. And you'll always feel confident when a student asks a question about rules. Mahjpedia, always at your fingertips, up to date and easy to use. Thank you for watching and for supporting Mahjpedia, brought to you by MahjCon.
Welcome, Ann and Bill. Nice to see you. All right, we will get started. And I just want to say hello to everybody and introduce myself. My name is Debbie Barnett. If you don't know me already, hopefully you do. Every year, the new card comes out and we all get so excited about it. And there's several of us instructors, passionate Mahjong players that put out these 2024 card reviews and analysis and different sorts of things. I try to bring a little different flair to mine because I don't want to be exactly like everybody else. And matter of fact, I don't listen to anybody else's until I've done mine. So I don't pay attention to anything that gets posted out there because I don't want anything to influence any of my decisions, because I like to play with the card a lot, which I usually do the first several days. I think I played, oh my goodness, well over 100 games in the first day. It's easy to do online because the bots go so fast and, you get spoiled. I don't know about you, but I get so spoiled playing against the bots, because then you're playing in person and all of a sudden it's like you're waiting for everybody to make a decision every single time, every single turn. So it's a lot of fun and you can definitely play a lot of games, which I have been doing. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get the presentation going here. Let's learn the 2024 card. So I like to come up with my own little quotes, and each year, last year I had a different one. So this year, this is my new one. Mahjong friends, turn an ordinary game into an extraordinary day. I hope that's true for all of you too. All right, so I'm going to go through the agenda first. During this event, we're going to be discussing the 2024 National Mahjong League card. And for those of you who have not received your card, I will be sharing my card on the screen with the permission from the National Mahjong League, who allows the use of the card for teaching purposes. So I don't want anybody to get upset, because when I didn't have this disclaimer in here, I got chewed out by a few people. So I had to make sure I put this in here. Tips or suggestions during this live stream are based on my own research and are of my own opinion. And I do want to emphasize about the research. I do everything manually. I put my husband to work to verify the data as well. That does not mean that human error might not occur. So I just want to put that out there. I try to be as accurate as I can be. And I welcome corrections and or suggestions. If you have any, you can email me at debbie@mahjcon.com. I will credit you for the correction if I have to make it after the fact on the video before I upload it to YouTube. So don't be shy. Please feel free to let me know if you have any suggestions or corrections. Now, the format is going to be, I'm going to go through my PowerPoint presentation. And chat will be used to ask questions at the end. So if you have any questions, write them down so that you don't forget what they are. You can even write a slide number down if there was something you wanted me to go back to. I will try to get to everybody and hopefully not miss anybody because I juggle the Zoom and YouTube chat. So please be patient with me. And feel free to put it in there more than once if I've missed it. But I'm going to try to get to everybody in the order that questions come in, if you have any. So I'm going to be providing some fun data, helpful tips, and the last part will be exercises to shorten your learning curve, which will include, not mandatory, but if you feel like sticking around, I'll be heading over to I Love Maj, where I will be using the exercise room to also help you learn how to use the exercise room and shorten your learning curve of the new card. Okay, so to get started, the back of the card doesn't change very often, but this year we had some big changes to it. So I want to go through those just for those of you that are not familiar with the changes on the back of the card. The first one here is we had words added here, or this sentence was added: when east wall has been depleted, the wall to the left is pushed out. Now, you might ask me, you might ask yourself, why did they make these changes? Why do they remove some things? Why do they add some things? Well, I think most of it is to help clarify things. So I know that the stuff that they've removed is probably not as important as the stuff they added. This is just a 2-panel little tidbit of the rules that are in National Mahjong Mahjong Made Easy, excuse me. But nonetheless, they try to put some of the important points on here. When east wall has been depleted, walls to the left is pushed out. So that is right there, the part that was added to the sentence here. To begin, all tiles are face down and the walls built. When east wall is depleted, walls to the left is pushed out. The next change is in the Charleston section, where they've added the Charleston may be stopped only after the first left, and then the courtesy pass still applies. So that was added for clarity. The next thing, after the Charleston, there is explanation. The Charleston is now completed. East begins the game by discarding their 14th tile. The Charleston is now completed. Players on the right of East pick and discard in rotation, but moved with a slight wording change. So that's another little thing that has been added there. Then we have a new section. Game begins with East discarding the 14 tile. Players to the right of East pick and discard in turn. Now, in this section, we've had previous mentions of jokers, but it's slightly revised with an emphasis again on this sentence. Jokers may never be used in place of a single tile or in a pair. Now, I am assuming that the reason that this is so important is because that's probably one of the most asked questions, especially with newer players. Can jokers be used in a single tile or part of a pair? So they felt that that was pretty important to add in there. New heading, claiming a discard, to what was previously was a list of numbered items here, claiming a discard. Number 1, no picking or looking ahead, has been removed, and line number 1 now used to be line number 5. So there's some new ones in here. Okay, line number 2 is brand new here. A player must actually, it was previously in the middle panel, so it was moved. A player must verbalize their call alerting the other players that a claim is being made. The caller may say, call, take, I want that, etc. So that was moved over and put under this now new heading category that used to be just numbered items. And then number 4 is also new. If there is a simultaneous call for exposure, the player next in turn gets preference. That's new, number 4. And the last thing on this section here was the scoring and bonus section was removed because that's how they were able to fit in the new stuff that they put in there. Now on the middle, there's 3 things. And the first is one of the best changes, I feel, which is the missed called tile has now been renamed to missed named tile, because it's not a missed call tile, because we think of calling when we call a discard. So they have now corrected that to misnamed, and I'm really thrilled about that change. Under the Mahjong in error section, number 1 adds this last sentence. If all or part of the hand is exposed, the declarer's hand is dead. Now, this tends to be one of the more confusing rules. I have something in writing from the league, but I do follow what goes on Facebook, and I've seen this several times. As far as, but what if you say Mahjong, you put up 1 exposure and you declare Mahjong, but you want to retract your Mahjong? That is permitted according to what I have in my possession in writing, because it's not a Mahjong in error. So when they refer to Mahjong in error, it means that all or part of the hand was exposed, revealing an erroneous Mahjong. Even if it were 1 exposure that had some kind of boo-boo in it and it was incorrect. So this is pretty important, and they've got that now added in there. But again, it could be a little bit confusing. All right, and then the last one on this middle panel of the card is also Mahjong in error. Number 3 has been added. If there are 3 dead hands which did not result from Mahjong in error, then the surviving player throws in their hand and nobody gets paid. So these are dead hands that did not result in a Mahjong in error. And somebody just asked me that question today, interestingly enough. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the next screen. Okay, so I did this last year, and I like this. It's a great exercise for me, but it really helps me get a great visual of the card and how it stacks up, excuse me, to last year. So I put this together again for 2024, and the pairs of flowers on both last year and this year were the same. The pungs of flowers, none this year or that year, so that's a match. Kongs of flowers this year, we have 8 compared to 10. Not a big, huge difference, but, you know, in the scheme of things, it's a little bit of a decrease. And then quint of flowers, we have 2 this year, and the last time there was the quint of flowers was on the 2021 card. And I do want to take this opportunity to let you know that a lot of this research I did were from my own cards. I only go back to 13 years, although I do have my 1985 card, but in between I had moved, and I don't want to talk about how many times because that could be another whole live stream. But in between I had moved, and a huge batch of my cards were lost. But somehow I had the 85 card, which is just really strange. But anyway, I am only going by the last 13 years when I go through this. Hands with no flowers. This year, a few more, 38 than last year. And a hand with 1 pair only, 14 this year. There were 19 last year. 2 pairs, 20 this year, 15 last year. And then we had a match with hands with 3 pairs. A hand with 4 or more pairs, only 1. Last year, 3. Hands with singles and pairs combined, only 11 this year, 15 last year. Hands with singles and pairs, 5 this year and 10 last year. Hands with 3 Kongs, close match, 12 this year, 13. 2 Pungs and 2 Kongs, we had 16 this year and 15 last year, another close match. Then we have a total number of Pungs, 88 this year, only 83 last year. Number of Kongs on the card, 105 this year, 93 last year. Quints, 5 this year, 3 last year. Concealed hands, 6 this year, 7 last year. Now, so far, we don't have, it kind of balances out between the different things. So it's, to me, not a huge difference with these comparisons right now. But this is the very biggest difference right here. The total number of possible hand combinations on this year's card are 1,683 compared to 756. And in a little bit, we'll see why that huge increase, if you guys don't already know, has occurred. All right. And then we have a little chart, a little pie chart that I like to do here, which also helps to take some of those elements and see how it stacks up. And if you take a look, it's not all that much harder. I mean, a little bit more, because I consider, this is my assessment of hard, harder, hardest, would be hands with a pair and 3 Kongs, hands with singles and hands with singles and pairs, quints, and then Pungs, 2 Pungs and 2 Kongs, to me, are always the easiest. That's what I say. Now, you could have a totally different perspective on this, but when I play and I make hands and I see what it takes to make a hand, this is how I look at it, just like this. So it's really not that much. It's a little harder, and it looks like it's here, it's harder, here it's easier. So to me, it kind of evens out. And that's what I thought when I was doing my numbers. So I think it's pretty neck and neck as far as difficulty goes. But from what I've been experiencing, it's a lot more fun with more quint options, especially quint line number 2, and more dragon hands as well. This card makes switching hands very user friendly. All right, now let's go ahead and break down these panels of the card. The 2024 section of the card. The Pung, Pung, Kong, Kong, and the zeros are a Pung. This hand is going to be pretty popular this year. The Pung, Pung, Kong, Kong is a nice, easy hand to make wherever there's 2 Pungs and 2 Kongs. You can use jokers for everything. The soaps in that hand, or the zeros, are only a Pung this year. So that's pretty cool. And I think that's going to be a real favorite. This hand is only valued at 30 cents. This is one of the things I noticed. And it has 2 pairs and 2, 0, 2, 4. So 2 pairs and 4 singles. And I think my 4, I think my single word got cut off there. So I would have valued that personally at 35 cents. I don't know what goes behind the leagues coming up with a value. I'm not sure that they actually have any kind of structured system. But to me, that hand definitely could have been a 35-cent hand. The 2, 4, 6, 8 section, we've got multiple hands back. Now, some of us love them, some of us don't. I like it because there are the 3 suits, but it's not an easy hand to make with 3 pungs and 2 singles. That's a pretty challenging hand to make, even though it's only valued at 25 cents. And this one is interesting because this has 4 pairs and it's valued at 35 cents. There was also a 4-pair hand last year, which only had 1 suit, and it was only valued at 30 cents. So again, I don't know how they come up with their values, but I just find this interesting because stacking up to that first concealed hand, I'd say they should at least both be 35-cent hands. And a favorite hand is back, the like numbers with news. That used to be sitting up at the very top line, and now it's down at the bottom. So that's a fun hand, and I think that's also going to be a pretty popular hand. And please, this is such an important thing. Oh my goodness. I've already messed up with this. And here's the situation that happened this week when I was filling in for a group. I exposed my Kong of ones, both Kongs of ones. I didn't make Mahjong. And at the end, one of the gals said, "What hand were you playing?" And I said, "The third any like numbers hand with the news." She said, "Well, that's a concealed hand." Our brain has to readjust all over again this year because they're all exposed. There's no concealed hand in any like numbers. It's going to make that category pretty popular this year. Okay. All right. These addition hands are called lucky sevens. I don't know how you guys are feeling about these addition hands yet, but my assessment of these hands that is that not including singles and pairs, they may be some of the hardest hands on the card. They contain 1 pair and 3 Kongs with those numbers only and 1 suit. So it is restrictive. There's no flexibility here. And I looked through the last 13 years of my cards, and I never saw an addition hand with only 1 suit. So I thought that was a really interesting piece of trivia there. I wished I had more. I have thought about actually trying to get the rest of the cards and fill them in. And I do know somebody who has them and sells a lot of them, but it would be a lot of work. But I just really would love to do more research and like this sort of thing. When was the last time there was an addition hand with 1 suit? I'd love to know that. Okay, the quint section. Well, this is a lot of fun this year, this section. I'm liking this. Take a look at line number 2. Line number 2, I'm not sure if, when the decision was made to use this hand, I have no idea whether they really thought it through or if they even knew that this hand could be made with 864 different, it could be made in 864 different ways. That's why we had the number we had at the beginning on that chart, because this is more than the total number of hands on last year's card. That's crazy. So my thing with this is, wow, you've got 3 jokers and you've got a couple of multiples of other things. This hand is a great go-to for the quint. Now, this hand, the last quint hand, and this doesn't happen too often. I don't know when I didn't do the research on this. I probably should have, but this hand could be made with only one joker if you get a lot of flowers. So it could be a one joker quint hand. I thought that was interesting too. All right, let's see. Okay, so this year our line 1 of consecutive run, that changes its groupings every year. We got to get our brain wrapped around it because I still want to do a pair of 1s and a pair of 5s. It's unbelievable how we really have to change our total thinking. And now it is a pung, pair, kong, pair, pung. And I did read something, it wasn't an analysis, but I read something somewhere where somebody called it a sombrero hat, the way it's shaped, which it makes sense, actually. I never thought of it that way, but I know they do have names for different configurations of the hands. That's cool. I don't know what relevance it really does have to playing the game, but nonetheless, I thought that was cool. So now we have to pay attention to that. Our quint of flowers are back in the consecutive run. This is a fun hand. I'm really thinking this is going to be a cool hand here. Not an easy hand, even though it's got pungs because of those singles. And then the 4s have to be in different suits. But there wasn't a quint of flowers since 2021 was the last time we saw it on the card. And not that long ago. Okay, this is another one that I messed up on more than one time. Oh my goodness, how many times do I have to make a mistake before it sinks in? That 1-2 dragon 3-4 hand, the same suit at the beginning and the end. Phyllis, I think I did that last week on Wednesday, and I have done it on my own playing. I think I did it during Wednesday night, or I thought I did. That hand to me, if the dragons were at the end of the hand, I would have no problem. But I want to do one suit for the 1-2, a third suit for the dragon, and another suit for the 3-4. I think I might have gotten it finally after making that mistake more than one time. Just pay attention to it because it is one suit for the 1-2, 3-4. Okay, this line here, the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 here. That again, the top line is that pair, pung, kong, pair, pung. So we've got to pay attention to that. And then we've got the 1, 3, 5, 3, 3 and 5, 7, 9, 7, 7. The concealed hand is quite different. I don't know when that hand, it was not on the last 13 years. When I saw it, I said, wow, that's definitely a new configuration. If anybody does have older cards and you've seen it like that, please let me know. It's usually 1, 3, 5 in one suit, 1, 3, 5, 5, 7, 9, or 5, 7, 9. And so this one is definitely quite interesting the way it's set up there. And I think that's going to be a fun hand, not necessarily a hard hand to make with one pair in there. And we've got more multiplication hands here in the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9s. I do think that these will be easier to make than the lucky 7s because of the fact that they have 3 suits instead of 1 suit. So that definitely helps with flexibility 100%. Okay, so let's go here. Dragon hand is back in Wings and Dragons, which I do know that everybody is happy about. I've heard a lot about that. And I thought, actually, initially, that there were more dragon hands, but there are actually 2 fewer hands with dragons this year and 5 less total dragon combinations on the card. So I found that quite interesting because I keep hearing people saying, oh, there's a lot more dragon hands, but I verified it more than once. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Well, I thought that was interesting. All right, this hand here, north, south, 1, 2, east, west, 1, 2. I'm just playing with bots and they're just picking random numbers random tiles from the wall. There's nothing set up online with the bots. So just like you play in person, we're picking from the wall. Now, maybe the bots make more intelligent decisions than we do as human beings, but I could tell you that this hand is number one, the most played hand so far that I've experienced by the bots online. I don't know about, this is I Love Maj. I don't know about other platforms, but it would be interesting to know how it stacks up to other platforms online. And let's see. This hand here with the north and south, east and west has 3 pairs and 2 kongs. It's a 30-cent hand. It should be, definitely. It's not going to be that easy a hand to make. I think it's a pretty hard hand, a fun hand to make, but I think it's a pretty hard hand. This 3, 6, 9 with the pungs and the 3s can be 3, 6, or 9. I love this. Even though it's got a single and a pair, I love the fact that you can be flexible here. So flexible with these hands. Another one, 3s and dragon. This is a pung kong. Normally, wherever you see a pung kong, you see that configuration. Now, this year, this particular hand is set up in a pung kong, and the 3, 6, or 9 can be 3, 6, or 9 with the matching dragons. So flexible. I love those flexible hands. Okay. Before I saw people winning this hand, this was when I first started working on this presentation, I was predicting as soon as I saw this hand, we're going to have a lot of people making this big hand this year. Way more than last year. And I think it's already happening that I'm seeing people post that they're making it. So that's going to be a fun, easy hand to make. And the next slides, we're going to talk about some of the hands, interchangeable hands and crossover categories and stuff like that. And that's where you really do take your game to the next level. So let's see where we're at here. Okay, the 2024 line number 4 hand. Whoops. Uh-oh, didn't work out very good. Oops, sorry about that. And there we go. Okay, the 2024 hand and the bottom big hand. Very, very switchable hands. Very switchable. And since you're going to be keeping track of the east and west and north and collecting them, you also can consider, of course, there's lots of options. I don't want to tell you that these are the only things that I'm pointing out. I'm just pointing out things that really have happened to me, and quite a bit. There's a lot of flexibility within Winds and Dragons if you're collecting Winds and Dragons. But this hand with the ones, if you're collecting 2024, so you have 2s already or you have 4s already, these hands, these 3 hands here, can very easily be flip-flopped if you needed to. Just, it's already happened with me several times. So most of the data that I provide is because of stuff that I've actually had happen to me. Another thing is the news bottom concealed Winds and Dragons hand in the any-like numbers hand. Very, very easy to flip into that. Start out with this or start out with the concealed. If that doesn't work out for you, you can always go over to any like numbers. That's a fun switching there. We have the dragon hands and we have the any like numbers. another thing that we can keep track of, these two things if we need to. A lot of good switchable options. In consecutive run, we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, line 4, and we've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 for the bottom concealed hand. Of course, there's tons, like I said, tons of things in here that can be flip-flopped. These are things that have happened more than one time with me. And as well, the 1, 2, 3, line 3. So you've got those, multiple suits and lots of good options here. This here is such a great flexible category anyway, but those happen. Flipping a lot in between those can happen very easily. And then we have our quints, consecutive run 1, 2, 3, easily 1, 2, 3 consecutive run, 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive run, any which way with any one suit, especially if it's 3 or 4 numbers here. So please, give the quints a try. And if they don't work out, you can always flip out. I mean, this first quint hand and flowers 1, 2, 3. Wow. Like you can't get much closer than that. Literally. But if for some reason you lost your 2s, but you had jokers, you couldn't make this hand, the quint hand, you can always flip down here to one of those hands. Okay. So any like numbers, line 2 with 3, the 3, 6, 9, fourth hand, 3s and dragons. Very easy to do that. Keep track of both. I mean, these are like numbers with dragons. If you're playing 3, 6, or 9, these are like numbers with dragons. I always say the more you keep open, the more options you keep for yourself, the better off you will be, the more chances you have of winning. Okay, and line 3 for the quint hand, 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, look at this. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. I mean, so many options to be able to start out with the quint hand, give it a whirl, and if for some reason you lose your option for the pairs, you can flip down into another hand. Okay. Now, there are what I call crossover categories on the card, big time. And so this year, there's a big crossover, meaning that there's several numbers that these categories share alike. And 2024 has the even numbers in it this year. So it is a great crossover category for 2, 4, 6, 8. So keep that in mind. If something's not working out and you're able to keep, instead of just collecting 2024 only, keep some 6s and 8s if you can until you figure out which area is going to be stronger for you. Don't lock yourself into just one thing. And then we have our quints and consecutive run categories. Huge crossover this year with the consecutive run quint options. So those are, again, we talked about it earlier, but I just wanted to mention those are really great crossover categories. And our 3, 6, 9 and 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. It's always on the card. They're always a good crossover category. If you could save some 6s because you're not sure which way you're going to go, a lot of times you might start out with trying to do a mixed suit, line 1, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and that's not working out for you. If you keep some 6s in there, you always have the option to switch out to 3, 6, 9. So these two are good if you can, for as long as you can, keep a combination of both. All right. Now, I always like to talk about singles and pairs because singles and pairs seem to be troubling for a lot of players, especially the newer players, where I get people saying to me, I don't play singles and pairs. I've never played one. I'm not good enough to play one. So what I've done here, and I did do this last year as well, because I think it's a really good visual and helps us put singles and pairs into perspective, is I took these hands, except for line 3, which is a little bit unique there. Okay. I took each of the other ones and I put them under the category where they belong. So 2, 4, 6, 8, the first one I stuck under the 2, 4, 6, 8 category. I took the 1, 3, 5, 5, 7, 9. I put it at the bottom here. I took the 3, 6, 9 one and I stuck it here. And I took the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and I put it here. And the 2024 hand and I put it here. When you look at them this way, they don't look quite as intimidating. And the reason why I like this type of visual is because these singles and pairs hands are all baby bits of the bigger hands. If you have no jokers and you're not getting jokers up until you get 1 or 2 and then have to make a decision, how close are you to that singles and pairs? You can always flip out into another hand within that category. If you're playing the 2024 big hand and something happens with that and you can't make it because all of the East and West went out, well, my goodness, take that hand and move yourself into the 2024 hand. That applies to every one of these hands. The third hand is, the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That could definitely be under this singles and pairs, and so could the consecutive run, and so could the 9, 9, 8 one, which is in reverse. That one's a little bit hard to wrap your head around when you're playing it, but they're both consecutive run as well. I just didn't have any room to put them here, but they are a little different. But again, just flip out. Something's not working out. Flip it into a consecutive run hand. Same way with the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Just turn it into a 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 hand. Why not try it? Very exciting to make a singles and pairs hand. Really is. Oh. Slide 22. So, okay, I'm reading that stuff. Okay. Okay, I see the comments on that. I have to correct that. Thank you. And I'll do that before I upload it to YouTube. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move on here. So I just made that little comment. No jokers. Give these a try. These are all baby bits of the bigger hands. All right, now I have prepared a fun little task for you guys, and I have the link here for you to grab this here. I'm also going to have that link in the video description in YouTube when I upload it. The following screens are 2 exposures. I went through the entire card several times, and my hubby did a check over on it. If anybody finds anything that I missed, please do feel free to email me and let me know. Where 2 exposures reveal only one hand. And one of the big parts of getting to be a next level player is being able to recognize what your opponent is playing. So all of these next screens, we're not going to go through them because it would take quite a while, but I want you to do it without looking at the answer key first and see how many. So you could click on this now, you could wait and get it after. I want you to, actually, I don't think you can click on this now and get it because it's on my screen, but I'm going to put the link in YouTube after so you can grab it. See how many of these you can get on your own. the more you recognize the exposures when they're up, the two. When there's three up, it's pretty easy to know. But when there's two exposures and they only go to one hand only, if you can get familiar with them, it'll help quite a bit, because knowing what your opponents are playing is a pretty important part of this game. And here's what it's going to look like. So we've got lots of different screens, a little fun project for you to work on. And there's several of them. I think we go all the way to, how many do we have? Couldn't believe how many there were. 65 different combinations of two exposures that are unique to one hand. Unique to one hand. So have fun with that. And then I always have a couple of fun facts here for you. Many of you probably know this. Some of you might not know this. The cover panel of the card rotates from blue to red each year. Hands with two pungs and two kongs are the easiest hands on the card to make. You can use jokers. You don't have to worry about singles or pairs. Always keep a backup hand with one of these if you can. The two pung and two kong hands shown in 2, 4, 6, 8 consecutive run 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 3, 6, 9 usually alternate their configuration. Last year it was pung kong, pung kong. This year it's pung kong kong. However, in 2014 there was a mix of pung kong and pung kong. Interesting, because normally they don't mix them up. Little trivia. The consecutive run section is always the most flexible section. Winds and Dragons section is always very revealing, but so is the addition hands this year. The only tiles not used as a single tile are the green, red, and flower. I thought that was interesting. So all other tiles can be a hot tile, especially if someone has no exposures or is playing a concealed hand. So if any of you know me, I'm always telling people, get your tiles out early. All the tiles you're not using, out as early as you can. Addition hands and quints are the only two sections that do not contain a single tile. Again, just a little bit of fun trivia. These are my favorite hands this year so far. Line 1 of the 2024 section. Any like numbers, line 1. Any like numbers, line 2. Any like numbers, line 3. I love that section this year. Quints, line 2. Oh yeah, fun. Consecutive run, line 2. Love that hand, even though I boo-booed it a couple of times. Consecutive run, line 8. Loving that hand, even though it is, that one is a concealed hand, but I make that quite a bit. Winds and Dragons, line 3. North-south, 1s and 2s. Of course, it could also be east-west with the consecutive runs. Line 7, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 3, 6, 9. And I also love that hand as well, even though it's concealed. All right, so we're done with this part of the presentation, and I do want to talk a little bit about MahjCon if you guys don't know about it already. This year, we're changing things up a little bit. We have either social play or tournament play. We're going to be having two different things going on at the same time, tournament area and a social play area. We're going to have coaching with the social play Mahjong, so a lot of opportunities to do hands-on coaching and growing in your game. It's optional, it's not mandatory, but we're going to have lots of fundraising, silent auctions, 50-50 door prizes, exhibitor shopping, lots of fun. Please consider coming and joining us this year. And don't forget to subscribe to our Facebook MahjCon page and our YouTube channel and Instagram, please. And for any of you that want to stay, this presentation is over, but for any of you that would like to stay on, I am going to be heading over to I Love Maj to play in their exercise room. And here I will have a link. It's in the video description, but here is the link as well to try it out for 3 weeks free if you'd like to. Now, if we have any questions before we head over there, I'm going to take a look. I think there's a correction I have to make on a year. I do see that. Kim asked, let's see, what did Kim ask? Kim said, hold on a second, I'm trying to get here. Line 1, 2024. Do the 2s and 4s have to be the same suit? And the answer is yes, because in parentheses, it says any 2 suits. So your 2 suits would be the first hung and then your 2s and 4s of the Kong. So the answer is yes on that. Do we have any other questions for right now? Let me just look and see. Let me go down. Nope, I don't think so here. Okay, so for any of you that want to hang on, I'm going to go ahead over to I Love Maj right now. And for any of you that are leaving, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been fun as always. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And whoops. Hold on a second. I got to share my screen again. All right, let me share my screen. And heck is this? Oh, here we go. All right. All right, so here is the I Love Maj platform. I don't know how many of you have that are with me play on it or don't play on it, but this is a good opportunity for me to show you around here. The very first part is the game Launchpad. This is where I spend a lot of time playing with the bots. You can also schedule a game with your friends, create a personal table where people can find you. And it's a lot of fun. I do this a lot. And they have 3-level bot intelligence. So I love that. The exercise room is really fabulous. And they actually added a brand new exercise called Heavenly Hands. And I haven't tried that out yet. So we could try that out together and see how we do here. The Make a Hand is where you're really going to help yourself learn the card. So I'm going to show you how that works. You just start out here in this little block. You see the hand and you just follow it and you make it. Now, keep in mind that the green doesn't mean BAMs. So try to force yourself, if you're a newer player, to play a different suit rather than going with the BAMs because it's green. I do like the fact that this is a little orangey, so at least that doesn't look like it's a BAM. But anyway, here's what you would do. You simply click here and then here. Put a joker in there if you want. Now we need a second suit, so we could do this. And actually, Kim had asked about that line 1. So let's just say we boo-boo. We make a boo-boo and we do 3 suits. It says it's wrong. So I can try again, click try again, click to take them away, and then put the right ones back. And then validate. And it says you're right. You click next hand, it's going to go to the next hand on the card. So it's going to go through each and every line on the card. No better way than doing this and study the card when you're doing this exercise. It's fabulous. Okay, so let's go out now to the next exercise here. This is really fun. This is the Charleston practice. And you just go through and choose your moves, and then at the end, you have a choice to redo it with the same tiles to see if you have a better outcome or start all over again. You can do this, which helps you reveal the possible hands that you can play. So it's really cool. You just click on them and it tells you how many tiles you have toward each one right there. This is a great way to start trying to figure it out yourself, hide it yourself, think about what hands you might be able to play, and then see how many of those hands you found that you could possibly play. This is another really great exercise. What hand is this is similar to the slides that I put in the presentation with the 2 exposures for you to figure out what hand. This is the same sort of thing, but there's going to be 2 and 3 exposures or 1 exposure. And so this one is going to say what are all the possible hands that you could be playing. So it's a quint. So you would choose quint. And then you choose from that quint category the possible hands that this 1 exposure could be. So we could do that. We could do this year, for sure. We could do this. And we could do this. Let's see if that's right. And all 4. So all 4 hands could have been a possibility with just that one. I'll just do one more here. So now we have 5s, and we have the Kong of soaps. Okay, so now what hands could this be? Well, let's start out with any like numbers. And any like numbers line 2. What about, is there anything else? Let's see. 5s, that's opposite. Oops, I thought my thing was off. Oh, that was not good. Any other hand with 5s? And I don't think so. With a Kong of 5s with a different dragon. No, I don't think so. Well, let's look and see. That's it. Just that one hand. So this sample here right now is one of the ones on the sheets that I sent you on the slides. All right, so that's that one. And let's see what this module is all about. Okay, it's like Wordle. Identify and complete the hands based on given tiles. Well, this is pretty cool. All right, so we've got evens, 4, 6, 8. So then we would have to look and see what hands in 2, 4, 6, 8 have flowers. So I'm going to just say that there's only one pair that's exposed. 2, 4, 6, and then the 8s. That wasn't too hard. That was pretty easy. Okay, so that's what that's all about. And Heavenly Hands is brand new. They just added this. If you've been dealt a heavenly hand, could you identify the tiles by putting them in the correct order? That's fun. Let's try that. Oh, wow. Let's see. Whew. We've got 2s. I'm going to get all these together. And we've got a pair of flowers. Come on. The mouse is not sticking a little bit. Okay. Now we have the 4 there, which told me it has to be a 2, 0, 2, 4 hand, right? So this is the hand that I see right here. It actually starts with this 2, 0, 2, 4. Another really great exercise to strengthen learning the card. That's not that hard. That's not that hard. I mean, easy to do. Let's see. We'll do another one. So that one was right. That's not that. Oh, that's pretty challenging, matter of fact. So let's see. We've got flowers. We'll get those up here. And let's get our 3s, our 6s, and flowers. 3, 6, 9, line 3. 3, 6, 9, line 3 on the left side. That's fun. That's definitely fun. So this is just a really good place to come and just strengthen your learning of the card. And it's also a fun place to come and play against the bots, because I think it is a very intuitive site, actually. And again, in any one of my YouTube descriptions, any one of them has the I Love Maj link. I am one of their affiliates because I really love their site. They give me one more free week to anybody that signs up using my affiliate code. And I think that is it for tonight. I think we're going to end this on that note. This will be available for replay. If you want the actual exercise that I did in Key, you can always email me and I could send it to you. Otherwise, you can grab it from YouTube. It'll be there. But that's fun. I'd like to see you guys try that out. It was a challenge putting it together. So it's going to be a challenge finding it. Some hands easier than others. Quints are dead giveaways. Edition hands are dead giveaways. Some of them are just dead giveaways, but others, you really got to think about it. And that's where it gets a little stressful when you're a newer player and you're playing in person and somebody's got 2 exposures up and you're panicked because it's like, oh my God, I got to figure out what they're playing. This will help quite a bit. And so thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who is watching on YouTube tonight. Thank you, everybody who joined in on Zoom. It's been a whole lot of fun, as always. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you picked up a couple of things. Oh, Kim, did you say something?
I said thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I hope you picked up a couple of things. What, Kim?
This was wonderful. This is Renee.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's always fun, and the more you hear, the more you do, the more you'll learn, and just keep having fun and growing in your game. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys do that because it's such a fun game. And I will say good night, everybody. Be sure and do a lot of practice, and I will see you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.